wabarakatuh, everyone. Welcome to the second day of our symposium. We are here today for the International Symposium. I'm experiencing this. For this morning, it is the second day, and we have a international keynote address from Professor Muhammad Tufail, the Pro Vice Chancellor at NED University, Pakistan, who is here with us today. We will be hearing his keynote address, followed by a short question and answer session afterwards. Thank you, Professor, for being here with us today. Nice having you here. Yeah. All right. Before we begin, I think I can introduce our speaker, Professor Muhammad Tufail, the Pro Vice Chancellor at NED University, Pakistan. Has been in that position for more than 7 years already. He has in fact remained at various positions at the NED University, including chairperson and dean of faculty. He obtained his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from NED University, followed by master's in manufacturing systems and a PhD in mechanical engineering from the University of Nottingham, UK. He is a chartered engineer, fellow of the Institution of Mechanical Engineers in the UK, and is also a fellow of Institution of Engineers in Pakistan, along with a member of the American Society of Mechanical Engineers in the USA. Professor Tufail has also remained coordinator for the Erasmus Mundus program of NED University, with partner universities from various countries of Europe. He is a member of the statutory bodies of various boards and universities and has arranged about a dozen international conferences and events during the last few years in various disciplines. He remained the chair of the IMECI Pakistan group for 2 consecutive years, member governing body of Pakistan's Engineering Council for 10 years, which is 6 years, and is also a member of the Central Committee of Institution of Engineers, Pakistan. So we are very pleased to have him joining us today for our international symposium with the theme Future-Proofing Education Transformation Strategies for Sustainable Growth. So I would like to welcome everyone who is currently online with us. We have viewers on the YouTube channel. We have viewers also on our WebEx, as well as live here from the Chancellery building of UiTM. So I think without further ado, we can go ahead and hear and welcome Professor Tufail, and please recording. Yeah. Bear in mind, for those who have questions, you may drop them in the chat box on the WebEx or in the chat on YouTube, or you can pass it to me if you are here with us today, and we will address the questions later at the end of the speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I would like to thank the transformation. As you know that the overall scenarios Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I would like to thank the organizing committee for having me to deliver a talk on this particular topic in this very, very important conference and symposium. I suppose the area that's been touched upon is very, very important, not only to become aligned with what the world is doing, but also it's important for the survival of the future generation of ours. My name is Professor Dr. Muhammad Tufail. I am serving as a Pro Vice Chancellor at NED University, Karachi. This is basically a 100 years old university producing high quality engineers in Pakistan. The alumni of this institution are serving all around the globe, mainly in North America and Europe. So the topic that I have selected for my talk is shaping higher education, digital transformation, and policy. For that, we have to understand as why is it important to think, even consider about this digital transformation. As you know that the overall scenario is day by day changing, especially after the COVID-19. Everything was focused upon the computer and its relevant areas. There is a high use of artificial intelligence, data analytics. Cloud computing is integral part of all the education, especially at higher level, and the automation is an important ingredient of higher education in recent era all around the West and the European countries. So that's why people are looking for having a scenario wherein there's a flexibility for the students. They have an remote access of learning what they want, and also having a personalized sort of area, or I would say access of knowledge, so as they would gain as much as they could possibly remaining within their comfort zone. Along with that, the digital literacy is available all around. That's why in order to avail all these things, we got to go for the digital scenario. And also, the recent job market requires huge amount of skilled people being well versed in this digital domain. So that's why this fast change in the technology compels us to modernize our educational institutions and also prepare students for this digital economy and being well versed with this digital system or digital mode of running the businesses or running the jobs. So that's why it's important that we have to start thinking about this digital transformation. When you say digital transformation, then obviously we should not only be talking about the teaching area. All the peripheral areas are needed to be looked into. It starts from teaching, of course, learning, that the teacher himself would start learning from the resources, would come under the domain of the digital domain, as well as the administration that is engaged in the institution is also have to be digitally transformed. And of course, the research cannot go without this particular modern tools. If you talk about specifically each and everything separately, then in teaching and learning, there are various platforms available, and you may appreciate that after COVID-19, we got exposed to all these things: MOOCs, LMS, learning management system, all these things, the virtual classrooms. They are the things that have been introduced after, I would say, this COVID-19, but nonetheless, they are some of the things that we need to start learning and adopting. In administrative and operation, we got to go for automation in all the administration tasks relevant to the education, like for example, admissions, the grading system, and all these things have to be, because at the end of the day, life has to be made easier and it should be aligned with what the rest of the world is doing. Decision-making tools needs to be used like AI and all this stuff, which needs to be integral part of our whole system of the administration. And research and innovation cannot go without having data collections, its analysis and disseminations. And for that, AI is one of the best tools that's been used nowadays. And we have to think about using this as a major tool for our learning environment. As I did mention earlier, the digital transformation has got several of the benefits. The first one is increased accessibility. The education becomes more inclusive. Everybody being of any area that he or she belongs to would have the access to high quality education, despite of having its own learning preferences. He or she would be having the accessibility. He or she would be having the flexibility. There are set of people who can not compete with the other group of people who have got higher learning pace of learning. Rather, there are several other people who cannot have that same speed of learning or adaptability to that. So, high flexibility can be attained through this digital transformation. AI being a tool can be used to improve further the learning outcomes of the individuals, and also at the end of the day, one would be able to get the personalized feedback as how he or she is doing while teaching as well as while learning these sort of things. So these are things are very, very important for a complete transformation in our education systems. And last, which is again something which is very much important, is the cost efficiency. You'd be having long-term savings because of the two reasons: that you'd be getting over with a manual system of management and going towards the automation, which would eventually not only save your time but also the digital resources would make your system more efficient with lesser chances of the error. So eventually, this all digital transformation would help you to improve your overall system of the institution. There are good things, but let's talk about the bad things as well. There are several of the challenges in the digital transformation. For example, although it is a tool that provides equal access to all of the people, but we have to keep in mind that there are certain backward areas wherein the institutions, or for that matter, the students, do not have access of same quality of tools. That's why we got to think about that aspect, and how would we provide them the relevant tools or the relevant systems, the people who are living in less privileged areas. Another thing that I have personally observed, especially after the COVID, that the faculty is reluctant to adopt the new things. There is an hesitation. So in order to address all these things, of course, we have to have some kind of policies needed from higher ups. Like, for example, the digital infrastructure requirement. I did mention that in certain areas wherein the people are less privileged, the institutions do not have higher amount of money to invest, then the government should come in, provide them the infrastructure, required infrastructure in IT systems, high-speed internet is needed, the electricity in certain areas being lacked, so that's need to be looked into. Okay, another thing before I talk about this particular slide is that I had personally observed one example wherein a particular university was not having a type of equipment for the practical classes. So what they did do was that they had a virtual connection with another university in a country in thousands of miles away, and all the digital sort of control box was on their system, wherein they could set the parameters, and when they set the parameters, the machine being placed in any far-flung university would adjust it accordingly, and the readings were observed. So this kind of a phenomena is a part and parcel of these digital transformation that I'm talking about. Having said that, I did mention that there are challenges, there are problems, but all these problems, while being considered, we have to ensure that the standard of education is not compromised. All the frameworks of any sort of education, any sort of degree, or any sort of discipline is being maintained, and no compromise of whatsoever is being occurred in that particular education system. It would also remove the barriers, if there are any, for all of the people, and is providing access to all of the students, be it from any part of the country or any part of the city, if there are any barriers that needs to be removed. And while I was mentioning about the standard of education, then it's also important that at the end of the day, our students would be going abroad for higher education. So we have to ensure that when they move, they do follow whatever the rest of the world is following. So they should by no means having any kind of lackness as far as the global standards are concerned. They would be able to comfortably compete with the rest of the world while going abroad for higher education or for the matter of jobs. So that's why this is also important, that this is something that's ensured. And when you go and extend for the collaboration and partnership with other partners within the country, within the region, with other countries of different regions, then each one of you would learn with their experiences, and wherever there's lackness, you'd get benefited from other people, what practices they are having. So I think this is something that would also be a guiding principles for this digital transformation. As far as we are concerned, we have tried a lot, and our Higher Education Commission has devised a policy where you could go to online digital learning systems, which is based upon the principles of being efficient, effective, and sustainable. So this is a policy that's been devised within our country, and we are going to follow it. Having said that, there are several examples. For example, in Singapore, they got national policy promoting smart campus initiatives. European Union is funding a lot on the digital education action plan, which is more focused on digital learning and teaching. University has been focusing upon digital learning and transformation of education. The transformation towards smart universities is another area that the world is looking for, and online professional development courses are being made available when people would go and get fully benefited by these sort of courses. And as I did mention, our own Higher Education Commission in Pakistan working on this particular domain and encouraging the university to go for this. I think this is something which is very much important, that we are fully benefiting out of it. Obviously, the transformation would take some time, but days would come or the years would come that we would be completely transformed. The main reason of this delay is having the facilities been provided throughout the country. I was mentioning about the smart universities. We have got smart classroom being developed within our campus. I suppose we have got around 12 or so digital classrooms, smart classrooms, wherein the students do get access of learning from far, far long. I mean, our alumni based in USA, alumni based in Europe, they do deliver lectures on these smart classrooms, because here the teachers can deliver the lectures, they could hear from the students any kind of questions. So these kind of systems that we have developed, I think they are very, very effective, and that these classrooms can be followed. These are, I must mention, not only for regular class teaching, but also for holding seminars, for holding symposia, for holding conferences and workshops. Apart from that, our students, the research students who are engaged with some kind of professors outside the country, they get benefited out of these smart classrooms. Although they could use the Zoom and other tools as well, but these smart classrooms are more effective in timely manner. They get their feedback, and also they are very, very effective sort of systems that we had developed in our university. So as, it's a known fact that people are moving towards the digital transformation. The future is nothing but a digital world. AI has revolutionized the chat GPT, has revolutionized the institutions. All of our activities are on AI-based systems, be it ChatGPT, be it the other similar kind of things. So that is the eventual ending point. So that's why we got to think about it. Blockchain is something that would help you to secure your data, your credentials, and also it's a tool which would be trustworthy for verifying your digital credentials, your documents. Here I must mention that we have developed our indigenous blockchain system uh, with several of the nodes within our university, and of course it was in public domain. So that's why on the public domain blockchain system, only the virtual currency is accepted. But unfortunately, the law of the country in Pakistan prohibits using the virtual currency. That's why Ethereum, etc. So that's why I could not get it forward, but the system is ready. Whenever it get approval from the government, and the State Bank of Pakistan, we would be able to get it launched, and all the degrees that we issued so far can be verified through this controlled mechanism of blockchain from anywhere in the world at any time, point in time. Lifelong learning is something that would be needed through digital platforms. I did mention earlier about the professional development courses. So these professional development courses can be offered through digital platforms. Like for example, we do offer these sort of courses, but I would request the host institution arranging this conference. We got even a good understanding with them, so we can jointly sort of offer these sort of courses remotely, wherein let's say a particular course to be offered jointly by their teachers and by our faculty members, so as the students at the both end would get benefited without moving out of their university or out of their place. So this is something that's again a benefit of this digital transformation and the collaboration. So all these things would eventually come with a collaboration of different institutions, and collaboration does not mean that there would be two parties or two institutions. Several of the institutions can come together and they would get benefited from each other's experience. So I think this is something which is again to be looked into, and I would say to an extent that we could offer joint degree programs. And luckily and fortunately, our Higher Education Commission of Pakistan has recently allowed us to go for joint degree programs, which has different models. Obviously, the first model is that half of the period the student would spend here in Pakistan, the remaining half he would go abroad, and then at the end of the day, after fulfilling the requirements of both of the institutions, the individual would get a degree which carries the logo or emblem of both of the countries. So this is something that's also could be done. And when it go to the digital transformations, I think the physical movement can also be restricted. Through digital means, one would get fully benefited by this system and eventually get a degree which has been issued by more than one university, especially two universities can easily do the job. And this is something that I think we should look into. So in conclusion, I would say that since the digital transformation is reshaping the tertiary education as it's providing, it's enhancing the access to quality education, improving the outcomes, and driving innovations. Because honestly speaking, when the examinations are conducted, then most of the instances what happens is the retention of knowledge in the students is for a limited time period, to an extent that they just get through the exams, get the grades, and that's it. It is not long-term retaining of the knowledge. But I think through this digital transformation, we would do the job in a better manner, and this retention of the knowledge would be for a longer period of time that would be needed for the students to be successful. Hence, the institutions have to prioritize their policy. They got to go and start thinking about this sort of things, and wherever there are hindrances that needs to be addressed, the policy should be developed in a way that it would foster equitable, secure, and sustainable digital education ecosystems where no one is deprived, irrespective of the area that he or she belongs to, irrespective of the institution that he or she belongs to. The government should intervene, the universities should come forward and think about defining the policies and devising the policies, like the one that I did mention about our Higher Education Commission. Pakistan has devised the policy. Similar kind of things should be done so as that at the end of the day, the institutions would get benefited, but along with that, the students would get equally benefited. So I would conclude by saying that the future of education is digital, and that with the right policies, it can be inclusive, flexible, and transformative. So thank you all for being patient, listening, and I hope that I had covered all the aspects of this topic that I did mention about. Uh, I would obviously share my email address to the organizers, and if there's any question or query, you may email it to me. I'd be more than happy to respond it. Thank you very much.
That was the keynote address by Professor Muhammad Tufail. Professor, you are here with us today on the WebEx, are you? Perhaps you can...
Yes, I am.
There you are. Thank you so much for your sharing and also your speech on the role of digital transformation in higher education, which was really insightful. I would like to open the floor for question and answers. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can put your questions down on the chat. Or for those of you who are on WebEx, you can put your questions in the chat box or even unmute yourself if you have any questions for Professor Muhammad Tufail. But before that, while we are waiting for the questions to come in, perhaps I can start with one question first. Professor, maybe you can share with us if, let's say, you were mentioning something about sustainability and reaching students from all walks of life. May I know if whether, more like how, your institution overcomes the issue of access to digital resources, especially for students who are more in the rural, underserved communities. How does your university manage that challenge? Because that's one that's plaguing a lot of us right now.
Right. Actually, am I audible?
Yes, you are, yes.
Okay. Okay. Actually, what happens is that, as I did mention in my talk, that proper infrastructure and facilities would be needed for the students in far-flung areas where there are lackness of resources. So that's why it's very much important that in the first place the resources would be provided to the students. But having said that, it can be done in two stages. Like, for example, what we have done is that our main campus is in Karachi city, which is obviously a metropolitan large city. But along with that, we are also having one small campus. It's around 400 kilometers away in a small village of the country, in the province near to the border of India. The place is called as Tharparkar. And over there, we got a small campus. And what we did do was that we did establish a smart classroom there as well. And the purpose was that those students who are coming from that particular area, which is not very much privileged, and they are having the lackness of the resources, so they would come in that particular, attend their classes in that smart classroom so as to get facilitated with the modern technology, modern tools, and IT and all this stuff. So this is one way that we had addressed the problem, because otherwise we cannot facilitate them to have these modern tools in their respective homes. But at least we had partially done it to get them facilitated by using these smart classrooms which are established in that particular college, which is very, very far away from the main campus. So they are very much connected with the main campus, and they are well equipped with the modern tools. So this is how we had addressed it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I do agree that having the right infrastructure would definitely help a lot. Do we have anyone else in the WebEx? We have quite a number of viewers here on WebEx, around 50. If there's anyone here who would like to pose a question, let me just check here. Yeah, okay, we have another here. What would be your ideal picture of how digitalization will look like in the future, Professor? Provided that we have all the infrastructure, what would you say is the ideal picture that you are envisioning?
Okay, what I'm looking at is that, okay, before I would answer this question, I would like to add another important thing for the viewers, and I'm sure that most of you are aware about it, that ChatGPT has conquered the world right now. It's been so much influential in our daily life, especially in academic life, that according to the reports, within 5 to 10 years, the capacity of these AI tools would be equivalent to the capacity of a one human mind. So it means that within 5 to 10 years, they would be so much capable, because human mind being made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very much strong enough to make the decisions and all these things, or to retain the knowledge and all this stuff. So AI would be, within this span of time, would be so much strong that it would be equivalent for a human mind, so it would make the decisions accordingly. And by the year 2045, it would be equivalent to all the human minds of the world, billions of people. So this is how we are transforming. We are moving towards the digitalization, moving towards the use of these tools. So we have to be very much quick to respond accordingly and change our education system and transform it so as we would not be behind the rest of the world. So this is something that needs to be kept into mind. So what I'm looking at for the digital transformation is that from the beginning, the students, when that come for the admission, for example, they, honestly speaking, they're not very much aware, neither they're comfortable as which particular discipline they should pursue. So the digital mode of education in the first place would make them understand that keeping in mind their capacity, their lackness, their, marriage and demarriage, they would, this digital mode would make this individual student understand that what would be the best line of action that they should pursue. Number one. Number two is, when in any particular class there is a difference of capacity of the students. So this digital mode would bring them all aligned on the same pace. If somebody is having a lackness, this tool or the mode would pull them up, those who are having lackness, pull them up and bring all the class at par with each other. So this is how they would come in the same pace. Third thing that I'm looking at is that this examination system has to be changed, because what's happening is that the students would do all this hard work during the exams with having limited memory maintained, and after the exams, partially the things would get vanished. So they would continuously be in contact with this digital mode. So by the end of the day, when they complete their semester, they would retain that same pace of knowledge without losing any sort of information. This is the third thing. And fourth, the most important thing that I did mention was that there would be so much strong collaboration that it would not be mandatory for all of the institutions to be well equipped with the lab machinery and equipment. If the machine is placed in North America, our students can control it from remotely from our campus. They would set the parameters on the dashboard that is there, and they would see the outcome. So this kind of a culture I'm looking at with this whole transformation of the education system.
Very comprehensive answer there. Thank you so much for sharing, Professor Tufail. Last call for any other questions from the audience that we have today. No? Okay. Yeah, I think those are the questions from today, Professor. Would you like to have or give a few last words before we end the keynote session for today? Any last remarks?
Yes, I would. Basically, you see, the world from the beginning, if I had a look, was changing slowly, gradually. But in the last years of the previous century, we had rapid changes. New technology were coming in, and that speed of change is getting more and more every other day. COVID came in 2020, 2019 started 2020. Within 4 years, the world has completely changed because the pace of change was very so much higher. So we had to be ready that within no times changes would come in. So if we'd be slow, we would be behind the rest of the world. So what I suggest is that we have to keep ourselves alive, and alive does not mean that just taking the breath. Alive means that we have to compete with, not compete, rather we'd be aligned with the rest of the world and keep on changing our old scenario. We have no time to devise our policies and then take a time to review it and all the stuff, and then the ministry and the government would take their own time. There's no time for that. We have to speed up the things, and we have to get our system changed as quickly as possible. Otherwise, I'm sorry to say that we would be left behind. Not ourselves, our students would not be in competitive mode with the rest of the world. So we have to speed up and be quicker for accepting these changes and getting them implemented within our system. So this is all from my side, and thank you very much for the organizers for having me, and for all of the viewers and the participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor. Very, very wonderful closing remarks from you there. I would like to thank the audience as well for being with us today for the keynote address. Thank you to those who are online on YouTube as well as on Webex. We will take a short break before we proceed with the presentations from the symposium, the parallel sessions. Just to note, the start of the presentations will begin at 10:15. Those who are presenting in room 1 can stay in the Webex, whereas those in room 2 can go ahead and click on the link which is available on our website. So that is for today's keynote address. We have a photo session, sorry. Professor, can we ask you to turn on your camera as well as the audience, whoever is available, for us to take a picture?
Yeah, just 1 second. Give me
Sure,
1 minute.
sure. We have a lot in the audience. Yes, can we turn on your cameras there? Oh, I see two.
Actually, it's early morning in Pakistan, so I'm not sure whether I'm
I see.
looking good or not.
Yeah, I don't see your face right now. It's a black screen.
Am I visible?
Not yet. Don't know, it's the audience. Yeah, I cannot see you yet.
Let me try to understand how the system works.
Mm.
It's supposed to be there.
Do you
I
have
haven't used this software too much.
Do you have your webcam covered by any
Yes,
chance?
I do. Now,
Ah, yes, there you are. We can see you now. I did a job. Let me see. Yeah. Can we see? Yeah. The rest of you? Anyone else opening their cameras? Okay. You can go ahead and smile. while they take a screenshot. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you those who have your cameras
Thank you very
open.
much. Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
We'll see you next, everyone, at 10:15.